What is going on with RSR? Why did the price of reserve rights almost double in the last 24 hours? Let's have a look behind the price action. Let's see who's buying and selling here. Let's look at on-chain data. Let's look at relative valuation charts. But let's also look at the news. There is some fundamental driver here. So here's the news. Gary Gensler is leaving the position as head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and Paul Atkins might replace Gary Gensler. And Paul Atkins had an advisory role with the Reserve Rights Foundation. And so the price is going up almost 90% today, 162% this week, and 276% this month. Now, this is not the first video on reserve rights on this channel. I published one 258 days ago, and that video outperformed the average video. So the average video is here in gray, that's this gray area, and blue indicates the performance of that first reserve rights video that discusses a lot of the fundamentals of the project. So feel free to check that out. Now, at the time, the price was 10 cents. And now we are at 21 cents. Isn't that great, right? I was foreseeing that the RSR price is going up. No, of course, that's not true. What actually happened is that all of crypto went up. A 2x in performance in the last 258 days is really not that impressive, because Bitcoin in the last year went up by 135%. But we are going to look at the relative valuations in a second. Let's first have a look at on-chain metrics. Who's actually buying here? Who is selling here? Is the smart money also buying into this rally, or is this all retail driven? There are two versions of the token. There's one token on Ethereum and another one on Base. On Ethereum, we've got 24,000 holders. But not all of those holders are created equal. We're going to look at this in more detail in a second. Here we've got the token on the Base chain with 12,000 holders. Now, I always find it interesting to see who's currently buying into a rally, who is actually behind a price appreciation. Is this small retail or is this the whales? Because in general, I believe that the whales tend to make the better calls over time, right? They've got all that capital for a reason. Probably they are on average better informed. Possibly they've also made some positive trades in the past. That's why they've got all that capital. And so let's have a look at the number of retail investors versus whale investors. Here are the charts on Ethereum. This starts in April 2022. And we distinguish between those different holders by minimum holding thresholds. So on the left side, we've got the number of wallets that have at least 50,000 RSR tokens. At the current price, that's roughly $1,000 worth of the token. In the middle, we go at 10x in minimum holding. So that's now 500,000 tokens. On the right, another 10x, so 5 million worth of the token. So it's $1,000 on the left, $10,000 in the middle, and $100,000 on the right. We see very nice long-term accumulation across the board, but we do see how this is slowing down somewhat in the last 1.5 years for the whales. They bought in mainly in 2022. Not so much in 2023 and 2024. Here are the same kind of charts for the Base chain, also pretty much constant accumulation. The difference here is that the numbers are much smaller. So while there are more than 9,000 retail wallets on Ethereum, there are only 225 retail wallets on Base. So really, all of the price discovery happens still on plain old Ethereum. We also see how the news impacted a lot of the holder growth. A lot of new wallets suddenly started interacting with the token. So this is a view of 1 month, and most days we only saw around 100 or so new users per day. Yesterday we've seen 1,600 new users. We can ignore the latest data point because today hasn't yet finished. We can also see how the ratio of new users to returning users tends to trend in favor of the new users. So people are accumulating. When zooming out again, we can see how the attention moves in waves. So this is the number of buyers versus sellers over time. And it appears as if most days there are more buyers than there are sellers. The number of sellers tends to hover around 40%. The number of buyers tends to hover around 60%. Now here's a very interesting recent development. You very likely do not have access to this kind of chart. This here shows how much advertisers on my YouTube channel pay for 1,000 views of their ads. And it suddenly, out of nothing, spiked to roughly double of what it used to be. In other words, crypto projects, centralized exchanges, etc., they are now competing for advertising space in the crypto scene. And it's not just money that's flowing into advertising for crypto. There's also simply fiat money that's flowing into the space as a whole. The stablecoin market cap tends to rise, and it's recently even accelerating. So since October of last year, we see money flowing into crypto again. That, of course, causes a lot of crypto asset prices to go up. And especially in the recent days, since beginning of the month, we also see the altcoins going up in aggregate. So what we have over here is the others dominance. This is how much of all of crypto is in the altcoins that's not in the top 10. That went up by roughly 20% in the last month. And so pretty much everything is now going up. The art in crypto trading though is to buy early, right? It's to buy when the prices are still low. So for example, over here, the Chill Guy token, it's now at 50 cents. But I made a video on Chill Guy when it was still at 20 cents. And I hope a lot of you made money with that video because it was a quite popular one. And so this is the real art, right? We have to get into tokens when momentum is bullish and when there's still enough upside potential. And so this is what this channel is all about, right? It's about discussing tokens that a lot of people don't yet have on their radar. So feel free to subscribe. Now, how can I find tokens like Chill Guy early? Or how can I find things like the GOAT token or the ACT token early? Those are one of the largest Pump.fun ecosystem tokens. This is a wallet tracking alert. How Kyle Chessy bought the GOAT token for 14 cents. That was over here. Since then, the price went up by more than 500%. Temporarily, it was up by more than 800%. Who's Kyle Chessy? It's this influencer over here. He's got 137,000 subscribers and he tends to be relatively early on trending tokens. And so here is how that works. We use on-chain analytics again to figure out who is owning what wallet. It's not a very easy task, but we've got an entire community that just focuses on that single task. Find wallets that are very useful of insiders, of top traders, of influencers. Let's find those wallets and then track them. So over here, we've got the wallets that we track by Kyle Chessy. We've got 12 in total. Well, let's talk about the ACT token. Here's our signal for ACT. CryptoBanter bought the ACT token at 3.7 cents. Now it's at 58 cents. So an increase of 1,500% since that signal. And of course, temporarily, the gain was even higher, more than 2,000%. Now, where do crazy gains like this come from? They come from attention. They come from a lot of eyeballs getting into one single token. And so here are those eyeballs. This is the CryptoBanter channel. They've got 1.1 million subscribers. When they talk about the token, of course the token has to go up. And so we've got 33 of CryptoBanter's wallets. And so really, I think this is the better approach compared to just drawing random lines on price charts. I think it's better to follow the smart money. It's better to follow the insiders. It's better to simply copy trade the people that tend to make money in crypto. And I like this approach that much that I made a dedicated tutorial course just on this. How can we find various influencer wallets? How can we track those wallets? And how can we subsequently also interpret the signals that we get from the tracking? It's 8 videos in total. It's all part of Premium. So that's down below, thebitcoinstray.com. Premium is not just about wallet tracking. It's also about on-chain analytics, right? The charts that we looked at today in this video. It's also about portfolio diversification, risk management, indicator backtesting. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total. Once we get our wallet signals, we of course also have to discuss when should we buy, when should we sell. We have to compare the on-chain analytics. That's why we've got dedicated chats on the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $165 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like Premium, in case you don't learn anything, simply just message me within the first 7 days and I'll refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. Now, does it make sense to buy RSR? Let's have a look at the relative valuation to Bitcoin over the very long term. So that's this chart over here. I very much like to look at those relative valuation charts because it tells us a long-term story. Did we, by taking on more risk, actually outperform Bitcoin? Did we get this additional risk compensated with more performance? And the answer is, since May of 2019, RSR underperformed Bitcoin by 46%, even after this recent rally. Now, besides the news, there's also a secondary effect that's fueling this rally. And that's a recent rotation into the boomer coins, into the very old coins that already made quite nice rallies in the past, where the market makers and the centralized exchanges own a lot of the supply. Have a look at this chart over here. This is the top 100 performance in the last 7 days. I IOTA has been around for a very long time, so did Hedera Hashgraph, Tron as well, EOS as well. The same is true for the Ethereum name service and for XRP. It's all now a rotation into the tokens that are owned by those market makers. They are currently pushing up the prices. And so then, of course, the altcoins outperform everything else, right? Bitcoin is somewhat stable, but the others' dominance, so the fraction of all of the altcoins that are not in the top 100, that tends to go up. So the altcoins are currently gaining in the last few days an appreciation of 36%. So that's now since the 4th of November. I believe that this is likely going to continue for a while. We can also see this here in the trading volume. This is reserve rights. Most of the trading volume happens on xt.com, which is a subsidiary, or let's say a white labeled version of Binance. And we can see massive trading volume on the perpetual futures market as well. Again, dominated by Binance. Binance is currently pushing the price quite a bit. It's taking full advantage of those news. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video, or see you in premium. Cheers.